Welcome to Suputo Safety Orientation, brought to you by Eastern Staffing and Recruiting. Throughout this orientation, you will learn more about Suputo's health and safety policies and procedures. Please write any questions and a recruiter will go over them with you after the presentation. Emergency procedures. In case of a fire, notify your supervisor immediately if a fire or smoke is observed. Never try to fight a fire. Fire extinguishers are available throughout the facility and should be used by only trained personnel and only in the event of a small fire. In the event of an actual fire or drill, the emergency announcement system will be activated to signal a plant-wide evacuation. All employees will evacuate the building and proceed to their designated areas. Supervisors will conduct a roll call to ensure that everyone is accounted for. Portable fire extinguishers are located throughout the facility, are to be used only in situations of extinguishing small fires that are not beyond their means. In the event of a fire extinguisher is used, the safety department must be notified of the incident. Severe weather procedures. In the event of a severe weather threat, the conditions will be monitored. Supervisors will be notified to stop production and move all employees to the break rooms. Some safe practices. Always stay calm during an emergency evacuation. Always leave the area immediately following the nearest designated emergency evacuation route. And always stay in your designated area after you have evacuated the building. Suputo provides specialized safety training in many different areas. Employees are required to attend, pending individual task assignments, and demonstrate that they understand the tasks to conduct these activities in a safe manner. Failure to attend the required classes, including refresher training, or failure to conduct these activities in a safe manner will result in disciplinary action, including removal from position or revoked license, or written reprimand, or suspension and/or termination. Power source isolation, lockout and tagout. Lockout and tagout training includes 3 separate levels of training: authorized personnel, affected personnel, and other personnel. Authorized personnel. Authorized employees are those employees that are trained to perform servicing functions to equipment such as maintenance, cleaning, and adjusting. Initial training must be completed prior to performing any of the duties listed above. Annual training and periodic inspections will be conducted to ensure that procedures are understood and are being followed. Only authorized employees are permitted to perform lockout and tagout procedures. Affected personnel. Affected employees are those employees that operate specific equipment. This training will include the safe operation of the equipment during normal operations, safeguards, and other safety-related tips. Employees trained at the affected level may not remove safety guards, barriers, perform maintenance, or make adjustments. Employees trained as other may not operate, maintain, clean, and/or adjust equipment. Safe practices. Never place any part of your body into machinery or moving equipment that has not been properly locked out. Never remove machine guards or protective barriers. Never block, remove, or modify safety switches or devices. Always notify your supervisor immediately of equipment that has guards or safety devices that are missing or that do not operate. Never attempt to remove a lockout device or out-of-service tag from equipment unless you are the authorized employee who applied the lockout device. Confined space entry. Confined space enter by permit only. You will notice these signs throughout the facility, both inside and outside. Confined spaces may have the potential of containing a hazardous atmosphere or other potential hazards that require additional specialized training prior to entry. Some safe practices. Never attempt to enter a confined spaced area if you have not received the required training. Always stay clear of work areas where confined space entry is being conducted. Never remove confined space entry signs. Motorized vehicles. A motorized vehicle includes pallet jacks, forklifts, or man lifts that may be used to transport or lift products and people, not including over-the-road vehicles. A license is required to operate these vehicles. Some safe practices: never operate a motorized vehicle unless you have been trained and have a license. Always immediately report to your supervisor unsafe driving by an operator. Always be aware when areas of pallet jack and forklift operation. Hazard communication. Chemicals or other substances that may be potentially dangerous to our safety, health, or environment are considered to be potentially hazardous materials if not handled in a safe manner. When these materials are handled with care and precautionary measures are followed, these materials can be used very safely. Chemicals that are commonly used on site include acids, coatings, welding materials, preservatives, caustics, abrasives, coolants, lubricants, solvents, peroxides, adhesives, fuels, office supplies, water treatments, alkalis, gases, inks, and paints. Required PPE when handling chemicals: protective eyewear, chemical-resistant gloves, chemical-resistant splash aprons, other special protective gear as listed on the SDS. Chemical labels and identification system. Suputo utilizes the NFPA and HMIS, which is the Hazardous Material Identification System, for chemical labeling purposes. Containers of materials entering the facility must have an identification tag that displays the name of the chemical and its HMIS ratings. At any time, a material is removed from its original container and placed in another bucket, spray bottle, garden sprayer, etc. That container must also have an in-use color-coded tag. HMIS is a color-coded system that recognizes 4 separate categories of potential hazards for a material. In-house labels will be either a diamond shape or a square with same corresponding color and hazard rating system. Process safety management. Due to worldwide concerns that employees in the workplace and the general public might not be adequately protected against possible hazards from extremely hazardous substances, the U.S. Congress acted in 1990 to require OSHA to develop a workplace standard to protect workers in plants that have one or more of the extremely hazardous substances on site in quantities great enough to cause concern should any one of these accidentally release. Suputo has one such substance: anhydrous ammonia, which is a coolant used within the refrigeration system. The average person can smell ammonia in very low concentrations, or less, and no one will willingly stay in the room with an ammonia release. Yet, like so many other chemical substances, accidents can happen that result in injury, death, fires, or explosions if not handled correctly. Some safe practices are: never operate any equipment with the refrigeration system if you are not trained or authorized. Always report immediately any strange or other than normal smells, orders to your supervisor. Always report any observation such as damaged insulation, equipment that makes strange noises or that is leaking fluids, and damaged or rusty equipment supports, brackets, etc. immediately to your supervisor. Ergonomics. Ergonomics is the science of fitting the job to the worker. When there is a mismatch between the physical requirements of the job and physical capacity of the employees, work-related musculoskeletal disorders, such as MSD, can result. Control devices are crucial for ergonomics: engineering controls, work practice controls, administrative controls. Lifting, standing, repetitive motions, pushing, and pulling are activities that may be potential stressors while performing a task. Ergonomic approaches are applied from the engineering stage through the installation of new equipment or whenever modifications are made to current machines and work lines. Safe practices. Change the position as much as possible during the day. Do simple hand exercises and stretching before work and during and in between breaks. Provide any ideas or suggestions to improve awkward positions and workflows that would provide the elimination of ergonomic hazards. Personal protective equipment, also known as PPE. A variety of personal protective equipment is issued and will be provided to you by safety trainers, and then you may have additional PPE exchanged in laundry. Once the equipment is assigned to you, it is your responsibility to inspect the equipment and to keep it clean. Employees will be charged a replacement cost for equipment that has been abused or lost. Free replacement equipment is available for equipment that has worn out, is damaged, or no longer provides proper protection. Some examples of PPE are hearing protectors, steel-toe footwear, chemical gloves, protective arm guards, chemical suits, safety glasses, weld hoods, nitrile gloves, cut-resistant gloves, eye protectors, high-voltage gloves, and protective sleeves. If you need safety equipment or are unsure of what equipment you need to perform a job, notify your supervisor immediately. Safe practices. Always ask your supervisor if you have the correct PPE when transferring to or performing a new task. Always inspect your PPE prior to each use. Immediately return any defective or damaged PPE to the supply room for a replacement. Never perform a task without the required PPE or damaged PPE. Always ensure that PPE is clean and sanitized before handling product. Never wear loose-fitting clothing such as dangling sleeves when operating equipment. And never wear watches, rings, necklaces, or other jewelry that may not be protected by PPE and that could get caught in moving equipment. Machine guarding. Machinery and equipment can be dangerous if safe operating procedures and safe work practices are not utilized by the operator. Machine guarding is also very important in preventing an accident. You are responsible for constantly inspecting the guards, safety switches, and other safety devices prior to startup and during operation. Immediately contact your supervisor whenever a machine guard is not in place or a safety device is found to be defective and not working. Safe practices. Always contact your supervisor of missing guards and/or defective equipment. Always inspect equipment prior to use. Never start equipment with missing guards without notifying the supervisor. Never place any part of your body inside guards or moving parts of conveyors or equipment. Never remove guards, bypass, or disconnect safety devices. Health and wellness. Hand care. Hand safety is very important and you must take time to condition and provide care for your hands. Safe practices. Never use solvents to clean your hands such as gasoline or mineral spirits. Never warm your hands in sterilizers. Always clean your hands, often with soap and water. Always wash, clean, and cover small cuts and abrasions prior to handling product. Always wear proper hand PPE. Always exercise hands prior to beginning work, especially when on a new job. By performing simple hand stretches and exercises prior to and after work, this will strengthen hand ligaments, muscles, tendons, and will improve circulation. By soaking in warm water for 15 to 20 minutes prior to your shift, this will loosen hard, cramping muscles. Always follow all soaks with stretching exercises. Proper lifting techniques. By using the following techniques, you can learn how to lift safely and save your back from accidental strain and injury. Some safe practices. Bend your knees. Bend your knees, not your waist. This helps keep your center of balance and lets the strong muscles in your legs do the lifting. Hug the load. Try to hold the object as close to your body as possible as you gradually straighten your legs to a standing position. Avoid twisting. Twisting can overload your spine and lead to a serious injury. Make sure your feet, knees, and torso are pointed in the same direction when you are lifting. Before you lift anything, think and ask yourself these questions. Is this load too heavy for me to lift alone? Is it too awkward for me to maintain my balance? How far do I have to carry the load? Always ask for assistance if you do not think you can handle this load safely. Reporting an injury. All incidents, regardless of seriousness, must be reported to the department supervisors immediately. Preventative care measures and follow-up visits may be required by the employees to ensure that all precautions are addressed in the care of the injury. Employees are responsible for immediately reporting incidents to their supervisor. Failure to follow this procedure may result in a denial of coverage from the workers' compensation carrier and may result in disciplinary action up to and including discharge. Substance testing. Suputo cannot condone the following behavior by employees: use of drugs, abuse of legal drugs or alcohol, sale, purchase, transfer, use, or possession of illegal drugs or drugs obtained illegally, arrival for work under the influence of legal or illegal drugs or alcohol. Any drug or alcohol use is expressly forbidden on company property. The use of over-the-counter or prescription medication which may affect an employee's ability to work must be reported to the company's Human Resource or Safety Department by the employee for a safety determination of fitness for duty. All employees will be tested for drugs and alcohol under the following circumstances by urinalysis. Reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion is a belief based on actual observations sufficient to lead a prudent supervisor to suspect that the employee is under the influence of drugs or alcohol. There will also be substance testing when an employee is found in possession of suspected illicit drugs or alcohol on company premises. Also, following a work-related accident or incident in which medical attention is required. And finally, there will be substance testing when an accident or act resulting in damage to company property is over $500. All personal injuries or property damage incidents require post-accident substance testing of all parties involved with the incident. Substance testing needs to be performed as soon as possible after the incident. Failure to submit to testing is considered to be a refusal and will result in an immediate termination of employment. Hearing conservation. Excessive noise can destroy the ability to hear. The prevention of excessive noise exposure is an opportunity to protect our hearing. Several varieties of hearing protectors are provided to employees at no charge and are available in the parts room. All employees are required to perform an annual hearing evaluation. The evaluation is conducted at no charge to employees and is compared to baseline hearing evaluations to detect potential hearing loss. Safe practices. Always wear authorized hearing protection devices that have an acceptable NRR rating. Always be sure that insert-type hearing protectors are fully inserted into the ear canal to provide optimal protection. Never wear hearing protectors that are damaged. Always wash and clean earplugs or replace earplugs as necessary. Safe handling of knives and blades. Many different variations of knives, blades, and cutting tools are utilized in our process. They include straight and curved bladed knives, circular cutting blades, toothed and non-toothed cut-off blades, utility knife blades, and bandsaw blades. Hand knives. Safety knives are the most common of cutting blades in our process. A sharp blade is safer than a dull blade. Knife handlers need to use caution and use safe practices when handling knives. When using a knife, always cut away from your body. Some safe practices: always wear all required personal protective equipment when handling a knife. Always use the right tool for the job and only for its intended purpose. Never walk, climb, or leave a workstation with an unprotected knife. Never leave your knife unattended on tables or conveyors. Always keep your equipment clean. Never attempt to catch a dropped knife. Never stand or walk directly behind an employee while using a knife. Never carry more knives than your scabbard is designed to hold, which is 3. Never spear or move product with the tip of your knife. Always cut away from you. PPE, such as cut-resistant gloves, are required when handling these blades. Exposed edges need to be protected to ensure that in the event they are dropped or bumped, they will not cause an injury or that they will not present a hazard in transport of being struck by another employee that may be passing by. Disposal of these blades and used knives should be placed in receptacles identified as used blades. Never place or discard a blade of any kind in a trash can. Safety suggestion procedure. Suputo encourages all employees to make suggestions directly to supervisor, management, and the safety team. There will never be a reason for any employees to fear retaliation of loss or his or her job by reporting a safety-related issue. If any employees chooses to remain anonymous, there are safety suggestion boxes available. The Safety Committee. The Safety Committee discussions are conducted on a monthly basis. Employees from the department areas meet to discuss safety topics, participate in safety and health-related activities. Safety signs. Safety signs have been posted throughout the facility to recognize areas of caution, restricted entry, and to remind you of safe work practices. Observe and obey these signs. This concludes the safety orientation for Suputo. Thank you for joining the Eastern Staffing and Recruiting team. Remember to be safe and work hard.